Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be going over some specific positions that we do in my yoga practices that I create for you guys. So I guess we'll start with this first one, which is cross-legged seat. It seems very basic, right? So the key to this position is, some of you guys are beginners and have not been experienced or immersed in the yoga world whatsoever, and your legs come up like this and you can't do crisscross applesauce. For me, when I just started doing yoga, I could not do crisscross applesauce. It hurt so bad. I was just always in this uncomfortable position trying to, it won't work. It didn't work. Over time, it took me at least a year to start to get more comfortable in this position. But the key is, when you're starting out, try to create space. So, don't bring your heels all the way in towards your crotch, towards your pelvis. Don't bring them all the way close in there. They don't need to be there. We want to create space. That's what yoga is about. It's about creating space. So we start with your ankles, your feet out in front of you to give yourself space. And what's really important is making sure your back is straight and aligned. Your head is over your heart, and your heart is over your pelvis. We want a straight spine here so we can really expand and embody this position to its fullest. And eventually, over time, we will work to get our ankles closer and closer to our pelvis, and eventually come into this nice cross-legged seat with our shoulders rolled forward, up, and back down our back bodies. And here we can breathe easily, fully, and completely. So I recommend at least once a day, just practice your cross-legged seat. This is your center, this is your home, and if your center, your home is uncomfortable for you, then Houston, we have a problem. That was stupid, but you get what I'm saying. This is really important right here because this is your center in yoga. This is your home. This is your base. So practice it, get used to it, start meditating in this position for as long as you can until it's too uncomfortable. I used to spend, let's say 4 months ago, 6 months ago, I was just practicing my cross-legged seat, and bam, was there for 30 minutes. It was damn, that was a long time. It was pretty cool. So I recommend practicing this position daily or weekly, every other day. Practice it often. Get used to it. Okay. All right. Next, we'll go into the tabletop position. There's ants all over my mat. All right, so again, a key to all of these positions is a nice sturdy base. So what we want to do here is keep our wrists underneath our shoulders, and our elbow points, where you get your blood drawn, is rotated inward to go straight ahead. So they're pointed straight ahead. Your index finger points forward. Your thumb comes into kind of not an L, but it points to the opposite corner of your mat. And we have a nice wide grip in our hands. We're clawing through the fingertips because we want to put so much support in our hands right here, so much support in our base. And we claw through our fingertips to get the tension, to get the weight off of our wrists. Because for beginners, wrists are pretty weak probably. So it's really hard to get wrist strength if you don't practice yoga often, if you're not on your hands often. So they're probably pretty sore. And what we want to release that tension, we press into our fingertips, we press into all of our fingers, and we try and put as much energy as we can, so as much force in our palms, in our fingertips as we can to support us in this position. All right, 1 second, let me check. Yeah, okay, we're good. All right, so when you've got the hands down, we're gonna focus on the feet, on the knees. So many ants. problems with doing yoga outside. Pros, beautiful. Cons, bugs, ants, car alarms. If you live in South Central, police cars, helicopters, random people yelling on the streets. Okay, anyway, so we got our hands here, and our knees want to be under our hip points. Not too far, not too narrow, not too wide, not too narrow, but comfortably under our hip points. And our feet, tops of our feet want to press into the yoga mat firmly. So we have enough strength in our hands, our palms, our fingertips, our wrists, and our feet. They're equally using as much force so that we could, if we wanted to, press into the tops of our feet and lift off into our whatever, hovering table, let's say. We can lift off and hover our knees over our mat. That's how firm, that's how much energy goes into this tabletop position. And then, we move as we sink our belly and look up. We move into a cow pose, whatever. They're both animals and they both start with a C. Does it really matter? Yes, it does. Our elbows are turned in, and we breathe in this position, and we wag our cow tail, and we chew on some cud, and we go moo. I'm having a little too much fun. These are like baby ants here. They're not full-grown ants. They're just babies. Whatever. Okay. And the opposite way is, cat. So what we do is we squeeze our navel in towards our spine, starting from the core. We squeeze that abdominal wall in together. We knit it together, and we come into like the hardest crunch you've ever been in as we relax our head down and we arch our backs up into a scaredy cat position, still putting as much energy as before in our hands and our feet to keep us stable. And you flow through your cat and your cow. As your breath goes in, you reach down, and it goes out, you pick it back up. Okay, perfect. It's exhausting. It's not that hard. Anyway. What's next is we are going to go through the basics of a downward dog. So what you do is, let's start in tabletop position here. So we're going to walk our hands a little bit in front of us. If my yoga mat has like these cool points on them where my hands are placed, like this is the perfect spot where my hands should go if I want to do a downward dog. So that's pretty cool for me. So I put my hands up, I walk them out, they're a little bit in front of my shoulders, and I lift from the toes, slowly peel my tailbone up and come up on the toes. Remember that rotation of the elbows that we did in tabletop position. We're going to keep that same rotation of the upper body of the elbows, and we are going to mimic it inversely with the legs, bringing the big toes in or facing each other, just inverted, like pigeon-toed. And it's going to help us spiral our hamstrings up to the sky. Oh, stretch feels so good. And we actively push our front body back to melt our hearts down towards our thighs. And if you can't reach your heels down, that's okay. We can come up on our heels just as much as we possibly can. Yoga's not perfect. It's all about improving and finding what feels good. And if this doesn't feel good and you're like, ow, 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 no, just come up a little bit. Still, you can actively do this posture to get its full benefits. And I like to walk it out to test how it feels in all different shapes and sizes and forms of this position. But this right here is probably perfect dog, upward dog, where my toes are inverted, my hip points are shining up towards the sky, my chest is melting down, my heart is melting, and my hands are, the elbows are rotated forward. But I breathe. So contrary to what most people who are just beginning yoga believe, it's downward dog is actually a rest posture. So that's the time for you to breathe and rest and relax while you're moving through, your warriors, your squats, your chair poses, your balancing postures. That's the time for you to take a breather, to relax. So that's why we want downward dog to be as comfortable and as properly formed as possible. You want to get that form down. Form is more important than just going through the motions, obviously. All right, my hair's probably wacko, which is fine, whatever. Okay, so we're gonna take it into a crescent lunge. So we did our tabletop, we did our seat, we did our tabletop, we did our downward dog, and now what do we usually do? We lift the left hip up, we square those hips. We don't want to be this way, we don't want to be on top of the other hip, we don't want to be below the other hip, we want them perfectly square. As we breathe in and we reach, we squeeze the glutes, we activate the glutes, and we exhale. We use the core to reel our knee all the way in to touch our nose, squeezing the heel up towards the glute, and finally coming up into a nice low lunge. We slowly lower the back knee, plant the top of the foot into the ground so much that we could hover like we did in tabletop position, and we slowly move the hands forward on an inhale, up and back. Now we're at the top here. We stay at the top for a second. We take in how this feels. We tuck our hip in here. See, our hips we're not like this. We're not too much forward, but our hips are tucked perfectly underneath our pelvis, so our hip point could shine a little upwards towards the sky. And we stay up here. We feel this stretch. We feel this hip stretch, this quad stretch actually too. We breathe in, we look up, and we exhale. We sink it deep down into a nice deep hip flexor stretch, and we feel it in our left hip too. Now what we can do is use our thumb to pull this left hip crease back so we feel more of this stretch. So our hips are squared, and we accept this nice crescent lunge. We sweep forward, up, inhale, tuck the pelvis, look up, exhale. We shine our hearts towards the sky as we come into this nice crescent. It's called crescent because our backs are arched in this nice crescent shape. We look like a crescent moon. And we slowly roll it down. From here, we'll move into lizard. So what we do with lizard is we walk our left foot out to the outer edge of the left side of our mat. We move our left hand in, so it's on the opposite side of framing the foot. It's in to the right of the left foot. We breathe in deeply here, and we exhale. We can come onto our forearms. We can stay up and put our left hand and press that left hand into the left knee and come into a heart opener here, which I like to do because this is nice and easy, and it feels pretty good to open your heart up to the world. Breathing in and exhaling, bringing it back, just rolling it back, and now it's time to come onto the forearms to get that nice deep hip stretch. It's a little much. It's like a deep hip stretch. So we start on our hands, and then we slowly work towards getting on our forearms and eventually relaxing the head all the way down into the mat, which is a lot. So take your time, breathe deeply through this position and every position, and we use our breath to help guide us, to help create space in our body, to fuel our practice. Let's come down, and eventually you can come to a bind here. Woo. Okay, enough of that. Now, from here, we move into a plank. Whew. We step that leg back. Bam, we're in a plank. Now, planks are my favorite. So you keep your hands, just like you did in the tabletop position. Hands are still in the same way. Feet are just lifted. We're on our toes. We are squeezing our back body, and we are pushing up. We're not, our elbows are helping us split our shoulder blades across the back body. We're pushing up, up, up. We're creating space in between our shoulders. We inhale, we shift forward, look forward, and exhale. We lower all the way onto our bellies. Now, if you want to get into the chaturanga to updog, the best way to do this is, that plank took a lot out of me. It's hard to talk and do yoga at the same time, but it's fun. Okay, so we're at the top of this push-up position. Now we walk our feet a little bit back, so when we shift forward, we're already on, basically on our toes. We exhale, we come down, and we don't even hit the ground yet. We're still pushing up, and we come up onto our toes into this up dog position. Look a little left, look towards that right foot. And so in this up dog position, it's really important not to just, relax your lower body. Yoga is a full body experience, which means that we're using every part of the body to its fullest in every position. We don't relax. The only place we're relaxed is child's pose, downward dog, corpse pose. That's pretty much it. Seated position. Supine twist. No. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. We're in the top of a push-up position. We walk our feet back. Our feet are back. We go forward, shift onto our big toe. Look, just my big toe is touching. We exhale, we come down, but not all the way. Don't flop. And we push up onto the tops of our feet, and our body is still hovering. Our lower body is still hovering. We are squeezing those quads. We are squeezing that booty. We are using our tops of our feet, our core, to keep us lifted here in upward dog. We breathe in. And we exhale, we come back. See what I was talking about? The whole, that's a police helicopter. It'll probably circle back around, don't worry. Okay, so from here, usually we can come back into child's pose. So there's two different types of child's poses you could do. One is with the knees are wide as the yoga mat, and the big toes are together, touching. And so we breathe up, and we can walk it forward. We do a whole this thing, but you can come and walk your hands all the way far out so that you eventually get your forehead to kiss the mat. And we're actively using our arms to reach forward. We keep active arms here. You could also just relax your arms. It's really up to your choice, the yogi's choice, to keep active arms or relaxed arms, because child's pose is probably one of the most relaxing positions you can be in. Not as much as downward dog's relaxing as well, but in a different way because it's active relaxation. This could be an active rest also, reaching your arms actively forward, trying to grab something, trying to touch something, but you just can't. But you keep trying, and you relax your forehead all the way down into the mat, and you breathe as deeply as you can for at least 5 big belly breaths in and out. And we could also just relax our arms and just do a nice, not active child's pose. Now, what the other one we can do is bringing our knees together. Come to sit back on our heels. Our feet are down. tops of the feet into the ground. And we bring our arms up to paint a wall in front of us as we put our arms behind us near our toes and slowly just crouch into this. Bring our foreheads to the mat. And you breathe as deeply as possible into this one. Feeling your belly rise and fall on the top of your knees, which is a pretty cool experience because it makes you feel so connected to your body, which is like a fantastic thing. So cool. All right, what else? Okay, we did the child's poses. I guess I can take you guys into yogic squat. Or, we'll just get up. We'll get up. We'll look at this nice oak tree. I saw some acorns on the ground. And, mountain pose is sorry, I'm off center. Mountain pose is a very powerful pose because it's like you're standing on the top of the mountain. And what's more powerful than being at the top of a mountain? Nothing. So you could either keep your feet together, which is a little harder for balance. It took me a while to get used to keeping my feet together, really together. But I kept trying because I thought it was really cool to be able to, have your feet together and you be like one piece instead of like here, which is easier for balance. And if some of you guys have balance issues, I totally understand why you want to do that. Or if you're just starting out. But if you're like me and you want to hit those positions, you want to hit those perfect balance positions, you want to hit tree pose and be able to do a one-handed handstand, I don't know. You're going to have to work on your balance, which is challenging yourself by putting your feet together, really together. And you zip up all the way from the center, from the arches. It's like you're tying a rope together. Zip up tight through the core, full body experience yoga is. Yoda. And you tighten it up like you're on a string. You roll your shoulders up and back, down the back body. So look at me. Up, down, and back. So our chest is lifted. Our hearts are lifted. Our hearts are always lifted in yoga, or we want to find space to lift our hearts, to shine our hearts towards the sky, because activating the heart chakra, right? And we open our palms like this. Keep our head over our heart over our pelvis, nice and flat back. Squeeze that core actively in. You can keep your arms, your hands, your palms open. I like to keep them open because I am always open to receiving new energies and experiences in life. So it's like a symbolic meaning for me. And that's what yoga is in general. It's your practice. It's how you want to be. It's how you are. So really make it yourself. So I open it up and I breathe. And I keep my full body active in this position, even as simple as it seems. Like my feet are actively working, my quads are doing a little bit of work, my booty's helping my pelvis get under me, my core is tight, my chest is up, my shoulders are back, and I got a smile on my face, and that's pretty cool. My head, my neck, and shoulders are in line, and this is mountain pose. You also bring your hands to heart. This is Anjali Mudra. You actively push them together to get more energy, depending on how you feel. And now we're going to move into up, catch a falling star, put it in your pocket, open those feet wide, a little wider than hip width apart, and slowly sink your center of gravity all the way down. See, I told you, I don't know if you can see this, but my mat has like these nice little lines on them that help you position yourself correctly. So what I do is I put my feet on those lines, come down, bring my center of gravity down into this yogic squat. I push this elbow against that knee, pull it out, that one out, and actively push my hands together in Anjali Mudra at the heart. And this is a lot right now. The legs are working, the booty's working, the arms are working, the hands are working, the palms are working, the feet are. Everything, once again, full body experience in this from the head to the toes. We want to keep our head and our heart aligned. We want to keep squeezing our pelvis in. You can look, if you're not actively using your legs, they're going to fall in like this. So we need to actively push them out using the booty. And, you know, we got this opposition push-pull here. We push our hands out when now once you get it, you squeeze your legs in to oppose the outer energy of the elbows and the knees. They're practically the same thing, elbows, knees. And now you're using them to fight. Now they're having a little war in this position to help engage your entire body, it's fun to think about. So yeah, full body experience here. And we breathe deeply in this position, and it's so good for everything. It's so good for your body, your guts, your intestines, your muscles, your mind, your soul. Yeah. So that's cool. All right, anything else? If you guys have any questions on more positions that you want me to go through step by step with, leave it in the comments section below. And remember to like and subscribe always, you know, so I can keep making these videos and getting better and helping you improve in your life. So yeah, okay, thank you, bye.